The Blue Jackets continue to exceed expectations in basically all areas, but there's one part of their game that they really, really need to clean up. We're going to talk about that on today's Locked on Blue Jackets.
You're Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I also have to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Let's talk about last night's game, because that was a lot of fun. Blue Jackets continue to be on, I keep wanting to say like the most unsustainable shooting heater, but like at a certain point where, like, how many games do you say that this is unsustainable before it just becomes kind of what's happening, you know? So I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about Zach Werenski, obviously. And I also want to talk about the David Jiricek trade, because Saturday night I did like a quick reaction to the return from the trade. Talked a little about David Hunt, about, you know, what the picks mean, etc. But I want to talk a little bit about kind of the trade as a whole. So lots to get into today on Locked on Blue Jackets. Let's start off with that game, which was almost really, really good. You know, and when I say almost really, really good, what I mean is that it was actually a really good game, but it was so close to being really, really good. Unfortunately, the penalty kill continues to make me insane. Like, I'm getting gray hairs with this penalty kill. Blue Jackets win 6-3. They outscore the Chicago Blackhawks 5-0 at even strength. 5-on-5, they score 5 goals and allow none. They allow 3 power play goals, and then Dmitry Vorokov gets the empty netter at the end to make it 6-3. So, like, first of all, let's talk about the offense, because that's the 7th time in 23 games this season this team has scored 6 goals or more, which is truly wild. And again, for a team that was in the basement last season in terms of just like pure goals scored, I feel like they were, like, if not last, then very, very close. I don't know, they were worse than the Sharks, who were really bad. But so last season, they were 25th in the league in goals for per game. So they were scoring an average of 2.85 goals per game. They scored 234 goals all season long. This season, they are currently sitting 6th overall in the league. They're scoring almost an entire goal more per game. They've scored 83 goals so far this season, which is good for 8th in the league. The only teams that have scored more goals than them: Washington, New Jersey, Winnipeg, Carolina, Florida, Vegas, and Tampa Bay. Those are all playoff teams, you will notice. They're still allowing too many goals for my liking, but they've managed to fix the wonky goal differential from that terrible start to November that they had. But like, the Blue Jackets are scoring goals, and they just keep on scoring goals, you know. And I feel like at the end of October we talked about this unsustainable shooting pace that they were on, and then since then, I feel like they've scored 6 goals in at least 2 more games. I think they've scored 7 goals, 6 goals, and 5 goals in the month of November, or I guess, and the 1st of December, because last night's game was the first game in December. Like, since the end of November, I feel like they've scored at least 5 goals in a game 3 or 4 times. So, like, again, at what point does this stop becoming an unsustainable shooting heater and just start kind of being, oh, this team is built to score goals? Which I tweeted about this a little bit last night. Not what I was expecting from this team at all. Even beyond like all of the off-season stuff that happened, I didn't look at this team and think, man, this team is built to score 1 billion goals. You know, I was expecting them to be much improved offensively. I was expecting them to improve offensively for, you know, a variety of reasons. I did not think that they would be this offensively charged, especially when you look at the roster. and it's very much a case of they are scoring by committee, which is a good thing because it means that it's not just like one line that is leading the way. I think that top line is definitely leading the way for the Blue Jackets, but like when you look at scoring up and down the lineup, like they've got the only players that haven't scored a point so far is Erica Branson and Jordan Harris. Like, David Jiricek had 1 assist. He's gone now. Jack Johnson has one assist. Mikhail Pucha has 1 goal. Everyone else has at least 5 points. Like James Van has 3 goals, 2 assists. Jay Christensen has 5 assists, so no goal yet. But like they've got 11 players in double digits in points. Like you look at other teams, and you look at this team last year as well. Like basically everyone is on a career high this season. Sorry, everyone is on a career year this season, but like Zach Werenski's on 26 points right now, which is over a third of the number of points that he got last season. We're just over a quarter of the way through. So he had 57 points in 70 games last season. He's currently at 26 points in 23 games, I think. So like again, he's on pace for like a 90-point season. He'll probably slow down a little bit, but like this team is, I hesitate to say built different, but this team is kind of built different, like it's been really, really fun to watch. Great to see the I was gonna say great to see the power play get a goal. They didn't. I was gonna be like, hey, the penalty kill was bad, but at least the power play was good. Nope. Power play miserable as always, but the penalty kill is what really worries me. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about mostly from this game is if your power play is like even half as good again, you win this game 6-1, maybe 6-2. And I do think Elvis was good. Again, kind of a bounce back game for him. He made the 28 of 31 saves, was perfect again at even strength. The power play just keeps, the penalty kill just keeps on sucking. Like you let Chicago score 3 power play goals in a single game. Like I think one of those was technically I think Nick Foligno's was technically a 5-on-3, if I'm not mistaken. And like it's not as embarrassing as letting Taylor Hall score a hat trick on you like the Dallas Stars did the other day. But like how are you letting this team crawl back into the game like that? This team that is currently okay, in fairness, the Blackhawks power play is pretty good this year. It's clipping along at 25%. So, like, maybe that makes a little bit more sense. But it still is insane to me that you can basically be perfect at even strength, and then as soon as you go down a man, it's like, oh, we don't know what to do anymore. Penalty kill needs fixing. I mean, death taxes the Blue Jackets penalty kill sucking. Like it's not like this is news. It's not like this is new and exciting or anything like that. But I don't understand how you can be so improved defensively at 5-on-5 and continue to be this miserable on the penalty kill, because I believe that is 9 games straight they've allowed a power play goal. And once again, every single goal for the Blackhawks last night was scored on the power play. Blue Jackets won at even strength, 5-0. Like, deeply, deeply frustrating. This is not to say that wasn't a good win, that I didn't enjoy the win. Like, I did enjoy the win. It was a lot of fun. I'd love to win. I especially love to win in Chicago. And it was good to see Sean Monahan get a goal. It's been a minute there. Dante Fabro now has, I believe, 3 goals on the season, which I don't know that the Nashville Predators defensemen as a whole have scored 3 goals collectively since losing Fabro. I was going to look that up before the episode, and I forgot. So, well, in fairness, Roman Josi has 5 goals in the month of November. At least he's got like 5 goals in his last 5 games. Which Roman Josi things, he has 6 of his 7 goals have come since losing Dante Fabro to waivers. So, but The other 6 or 7 Nashville defensemen that have had ice time this season have, I believe, collectively scored 4 goals total. So, like, again, Dante Fabro continues to impress, continues to look really good next to Werenski. You love to see it. Werenski on another level. We'll talk about him in a second here, but, like, Kent Johnson on another level. Keeps his streak going. He only quote unquote got 1 goal last night, but that's still 12 points in 9 games for him this season. Like, again, a rock star. Komarchenko hits double digits in goals. His 30-goal season pace is still there. Like, there was a lot to like about this game offensively. They outshot the Blackhawks. They out-attempted the Blackhawks. Like, they won in face-offs. There was a lot going on. I could have done without Dmitry Voronkov somehow getting 17 penalty minutes for defending his teammate, but the officiating is what it is, like, there's no point getting mad about it. Which I recognize I say that as someone who just got mad about the officiating, like, 2 episodes ago, but this is going to happen, and I don't think it's a Blue Jackets thing. I think it's the NHL refs are not good at their jobs thing. So, like, you can get mad, but I feel like they're not specifically out to get the Blue Jackets, I struggle to remember that sometimes, but they're not. Like, they're not. They just aren't. The only problem that I have with this game is the penalty kill. And, like, that's not a huge problem. The Blue Jackets do not get penalized a ton. I feel like I looked this up very recently. The Blue Jackets don't draw a lot of penalties, but they also don't take a ton of penalties. So, like, probably it, like, balances out, kind of. The Blue Jackets are currently 17th in the league in penalties taken. With they've taken 90 penalties. They've drawn 75. So, like, they're at a minus 15 there, but, like, they don't take a lot of penalties. They're in the top half of the league in terms of, like, not taking penalties. So, like, the penalty kill being bad is not, like, disastrous like it would be for, say, the Boston Bruins, who are the most penalized team in the league right now. But it could be so much better, and it's so frustrating when everything else on this team is clicking, and then they go on the penalty kill, and I'm like, well, here we go again, So that's kind of how I feel about the game. I want to talk about Zach Werenski next, because as of the time of recording this, I don't believe they've announced the 4 Nations rosters, but he's probably going to be on there, and again, he continues to be just the leader of this team in so many ways. So we're going to talk about Zach Werenski again in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to tell you about FanDuel. Go ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Honestly, put $5 on Zach Werenski getting a point at some point, because odds are you will get $150 in bonus bets if that bet comes through. FanDuel Sportsbook app also gives you everything you need to place live bets on all sports, all in one place. So when you got a hunch in the middle of the game, you check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Once again, if you win your first $5 bet, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets that you can spend on whatever you want. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I also want to tell you about Game Time, because we all love cheap tickets to things, right? And Game Time is the best place to go for that. And it's not just sports either. Like, they have all kinds of live events there. They've got music, they've got theater, they've got comedy. Like, my wife just went to a music festival in Vegas last month, and she got her ticket for that on Game Time because it was just so much easier to use and cheaper than anywhere else that we looked. And Game Time's got a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Your purchase is also going to be covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. And if you find tickets in your section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. I want to talk about Zach Werenski. And I know that we have talked about Zach Werenski a fair amount, I would say, over the past little while, but some advanced stats have kind of come out recently. I retweeted one of them, and like again, I know enough about advanced stats to kind of be dangerous. I know enough about advanced stats to be an asshole about it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but anyway. But Dom at The Athletic has a model where he basically weighs offense, defense, everything for both, all of those things, and then puts them together. And Zach Werenski, according to his model, is the third best defenseman in the league this year. Like, Cale Makar is at 8.2. Quinn Hughes is at 8.2. Zach Werenski is at 7.8. Now, Cale Makar is what people are generally considered to be the best defenseman in the NHL, full stop. Quinn Hughes, reigning Norris winner. I think there's an argument to be made that he's the best defenseman in the NHL. And Zach Werenski is holding firm with both of them. And that's really, really great to see. And we've talked a little bit about, like, should Werenski be getting Norris consideration this season? And, like, frankly, yeah, I was kind of cagey about this the first time we talked about this because I was like, okay, he's on a bit of a hot streak right now, but like, hot streak ain't going anywhere. He just broke his own record for longest point streak by a defenseman in Blue Jackets history. Previous was he had a 7-game point streak a couple of seasons ago. He's on an 8-game point streak right now, looking to keep that going. And again, he has 26 points in 23 games so far this season, I believe. He had 2 assists last night against Chicago. He's on pace for a 93-point season, which is basically what Quinn Hughes won the Norris with last year, I feel like. Erik Karlsson had a 100-point season the year before and won the Norris with that. And obviously, points are not the be-all and end-all of defensemen. But it has to be said, Zach Werenski is just an absolute workhorse for this team. He plays a bajillion minutes a night, and he's only taken 4 minor penalties all season. He has 13 penalty minutes total because he got in a fight against, was it the Carolina game? The Montreal game. It was the Montreal game. He got in a fight with Brendan Gallagher, of all people. So, like, that has bumped his penalty minutes up a little bit, but of his 13 penalty minutes, you take the 5 away for that fighting major, he's had 4 minor penalties this season, playing more than anyone else in the league. Like, I'm pretty sure it was him and Seth Jones were the top 2 guys, and they were kind of flip-flopping back and forth in terms of who was getting more average time on ice. And I believe Werenski is alone at the top right now. He's averaging almost 26 minutes a game. And, like, I do have, I've talked about this before. I do have some problems with, like, load management of your defense. And, like, think how good Werenski would be if he only played 22 minutes a night. And also, if you're playing him this much, it means you don't trust your other defensemen, which is a whole other conversation that we need to have right now. But, like, if he's playing 26 minutes a night and has only taken 4 penalties in 23 games total, like, that's something else. Like, Werenski is he's getting it done all over the place. He's a plus 12 and plus minus is really only useful as like a supplemental stat. It's not something you can't say someone's good just because they have a good plus minus, but when you look at last year and you look at how miserable the plus minus was, like, Zach Werenski, I believe, was dead even in plus minus last year. He was at a 0. Plus 12 so far this year. Again, 26 points on the season. He is I believe second in goals for a defenseman. He's tied for first in goals with Jacob Chikrin and Cale Makar. They both have 8 goals as well. And he is still third in scoring among defensemen as well. Quinn Hughes has 28 points. Cale Makar has 32 points. Cale Makar still with 2 extra games played over Hughes and Werenski. And, like, all of this to say, Zach Werenski is the difference maker this season, which is what we've been saying for, like, I feel like we've been saying this for, like, 2 seasons now, is, like, a healthy Zach Werenski is a top 10 defenseman in this league easily, and it's really, really great to see him getting both, like, the recognition from his own fan base and also just kind of league-wide recognition. People are paying attention to Zach Werenski. He's probably going to be named to the, almost definitely going to be named to the 4 Nations topic the Four Nations tournament. Excuse me, I don't know where the word topic came from. Nothing official yet, but like you're telling me that Zach Werenski's not one of the 6 best American defensemen right now. Like, frankly, he's top 2 for me. Like, that top pairing should be Werenski and Hughes, and everyone else is there. You know, this tournament is kind of fake and made up and doesn't really make a difference. You know, it's the NHL is doing NHL things, you know, and we'll probably cover the tournament a little bit when it happens in February. I personally would rather see another All-Star game. I think that's way more fun, but I'm not going to complain about Zach Werenski getting his flowers on an international stage and getting to do ostensibly a best-on-best tournament composing of 4 countries total. This will probably be a recurring segment on this show. Is just, man, Zach Werenski's real good, huh? And he's real good. Do I think his pace will slow down? Yes, I don't think he's going to play at a 90-point pace for the rest of the season. But right now, he's just so much fun to watch. He's one of those guys where, like, Ken Johnson is kind of a similar guy at the minute because he's really hot and he's on a 9-game point streak, by the way. But like every time Werenski has the puck, I'm like, oh, something cool's going to happen here, you know? Just really, really fun to watch. Like it's been a long time since Blue Jackets fans, I think, have had a player to be this excited about that's not like potential excitement. You know, like I feel like everyone's hyped about Fantilli, Johnson, like Sillinger's getting a lot of hype at the minute, like Marchenko's getting a lot of hype. They're all still young guys though, and I feel like none of them have really hit their ceiling. Like this feels like Werenski hitting his peak, you know? And he's only, 26, 27? So he's going to be good for a while. And this is really, really exciting. Like, again, I don't remember, like, maybe Panarin is the last time Blue Jackets fans were this excited about an established player in the league. But I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. Because it probably will fall off a little bit. But until then, I'm just going to keep enjoying just how much of a rock star Zach Werenski has been for this team. From one defenseman to another, I want to talk a little bit about David Jiricek and the trade that went down at the weekend. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, though, I could tell you about Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, it's the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just got to pick more or less and at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash, so you can run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks has invented something called the flex play, which means even if your lineup isn't perfect and one of your picks doesn't hit, you can still cash out and potentially double your money. And they put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. You can do it via Venmo now, which is great. When my picks hit, I get my cash in as little as 15 minutes, which is awesome. You don't have to sit around and wait for that withdrawal to hit your account. You can, no delayed gratification here. It is instant gratification only with Prize Picks. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about the David Jiricek trade. I talked about it a little bit. I did a quick crossover with Seth Topal of Locked On Wild, where we did a little bit of an introduction to Damon Hunt. We talked about what the picks mean, where the picks are likely going to be, etc., etc. But I haven't really talked about like the trade itself. And here is where I fall on the trade. It is the return is better than I was expecting. It is not as good as I hoped it would be. You know, so it really kind of fell in the middle there. I think it is a fine return for a player that was unhappy in the situation that he was in, and a player that for whatever reason had I don't know if he overstayed his development, but there was a lot of talk about, well, his skating is basically exactly the same it was when he was drafted. Like, it doesn't look like he's worked on it at all. And that's not to say he hasn't worked on it, but it doesn't look like it's improving. He had some chances to make the NHL, to get a spot on the NHL roster. I could argue that he probably didn't get as many chances or, significant chances that he should have done, but he got his chances and he didn't take them. Struggled in the NHL. And I think Don Waddell was not as precious with him as I think Kekalainen would be, because he didn't draft him, and I think Don Waddell values different things in players to Kekalainen, and you can kind of see that and I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I do think Kekalainen was an excellent drafting GM, and I do think that if Jiricek hits, he's going to be an absolute monster for the Wild. And for that reason, I'm glad that he went to the West. I'm glad that he didn't go to Montreal or Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or Buffalo or wherever else he was rumored to go. He's in the West. If he does hit, the Blue Jackets only have to face him twice a season. But there feels like a big caveat on that if he hits. He's on a very slow development path, and that doesn't mean that he's not going to continue on that path and he's not going to finish that path and become a really good defenseman. And I don't know that they will get as good of a player potentially in either Damon Hunt or this first round pick, which, by the way, is top 5 protected, which the Wild aren't drafting the top 5 anyway. So it's just kind of a just in casesies type thing. My guess is this pick will be somewhere between 16 and 24, which is, there's been good players taken in that range. I don't know that any of them will have the same kind of potential or hype as David Jiricek. I wouldn't have traded him, is the thing, and the return was fine. I wanted a little bit more, but I am surprised they got as much as they did. So it really it falls in the middle there. Like I said, I wouldn't have traded him. I wouldn't have traded him now anyway. I would have let him cook in the AHL for another season. He's still under team control for this season and next season. So you're not in any danger of the RFA holdout drama that you see sometimes. I would have revisited in the summer, and I would have given him one last chance to make the team in October. And if he didn't, then it would have been right, okay, well then we'll get what value we can then. And I don't think they gave up on him too fast. They gave up on him faster than I would have, though. And I mean, maybe that's why I'm not an NHL GM and Don Waddell is. Sucks that it had to come to this point. I think Don Waddell got as much value as he thought he could out of it. That first round pick, I think, is what he wanted. Damon Hunt is supposed to be an excellent skater, which, going back to what Don Waddell values in drafting and prospects, and what Kekalainen values in draft picks, is Don Waddell loves for his players to be good skaters, because I think he thinks that you can fix everything else easily, but skating is a really tough thing to fix. And it's interesting that David Jiricek was probably the weakest skater of the Blue Jackets defensive prospect. I think he probably had maybe the highest ceiling, but potentially that floor was a little lower than people thought on draft day, So interesting to see Damon Hunt enter the conversation. He's going to be with Cleveland. I think you put him with Matejchuk and just kind of watch those guys cook. I don't think Damon Hunt is going to turn into as good of a player as David Jiricek will, but when you have a player that is very openly, or not openly, but a player that the entire league knows is on his way out of the organization, you get what you can for him. You look at the Patrick Laine trade twice. You look at the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade 3 times. You do what you can. I was really hoping for a McGrorty type trade where, it's 1-for-1. That wasn't going to happen. So Waddell settled for a first round pick and some change. So more than I expected, less than I wanted. I was really holding out hope for Marco Rossi potentially, or my pipe dream was Zeke William, who I loved in his draft year. Neither of those things happened. We'll see what Damon Hunt is made of. Hasn't iced for the Monsters yet. We'll probably ice this coming weekend, and we'll like I said, we'll see what he brings to the table. That's all I've got for today. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a pregame preview of the Calgary Flames game tomorrow night. It's going to be a late one, so get your coffee, everybody. But we'll talk about what the Blue Jackets need to do to keep this rolling, what they can potentially expect from the Flames, who are probably pretty mad about how last game went. So we'll talk about all of that. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _JacobFoster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_BlueJackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And thank you once again for listening. Until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.